We are starting the 11 p.m. bulletin with an unfortunate piece of breaking news coming in where an army jawan has been martyred in a terror attack. But the most despicable act is that the terrorists have mutilated his body in the Machil sector in JNK. The army has released a statement saying, and I quote, "In a despicable act, the terrorists mutilated the body of the Indian soldier before fleeing into the POK." The army has also said that the terrorists got covering fire from Pakistani army posts. This barbarism is a true reflection which pervades official and non-official organizations across the border. This act will invite an appropriate response. I'm joined by India Today's executive editor Gaurav Sawant and correspondent Jugal Purohit. Gaurav, let me come to you first. Can you please tell us when did this incident happen and do we know who is behind it?
This appears to be a border action team of Pakistan Army, SSG commandos and terrorists. It's a hybrid team that operates together. This happened in the Machil sector 28th itself and 28th of October. What sources are telling India Today is that Pakistani posts resorted to heavy firing. In this, there was a patrol that was out. That's the time, prima facie, it appears that a border action team crossed the line of control, waylaid a patrol, and one soldier who was lagging behind, apparently he was targeted by this border action team amid this firing from the Pakistani side. Unfortunately, they mutilated the body of this soldier and they retreated. Now the army is responding to this at multiple levels. One, the army issued a statement saying they will respond at a place and time of their choosing. What sources are also telling India Today that diplomatically India is taking this up with Pakistan.
Jugal, if I may come to you, do we know the identity of this martyr? Do we know who was he? Which regiment did he belong to?
Well, Archana, as we were reporting, this is an incident which has taken place just a few hours ago, post sundown in that area. And the way the army functions, and this is for our viewers' understanding, is that the first procedure, of course, is to retrieve the mortal remains, to inform the next of kin, the loved ones, tell them about what took place, share with them the details, and only after that is the identity revealed. So that stage perhaps is not a stage that we need to be at for now, because the army has certain internal processes, especially communicating something as sensitive as this to the family and to the next of kin. That's what's taking place right now. But what is extremely interesting from the army statement that you just read out is that the army has made it very clear that this kind of action, despicable is the word used, will invite an appropriate response. Now, that should leave no one in doubt that there is a definite a blowback that the Pakistani side will be receiving for the kind of action that has taken place. We are aware in the past as well there have been these tit-for-tat reactions which have taken place at the local level, at the level of the battalion or the level of the brigade. And there is no doubt that the very fact that in this particular instance the terrorists was supported by the Pak army fire, which enabled them to do what they did and then retreat, is an actual proof of the kind of coordination that is being implemented between the Pakistan army and the Pakistani terrorists. So there is no doubt that the army will be responding insofar as answering your question is concerned. The army sources are telling us that it will be a little more time before they inform the next of kin, after which the details will be made public. Back to you.
All right. Gaurav, as we know that the army has made it explicitly clear that there will be a response, but I want to know that there is a pattern to it. It has happened in the past that how Indian soldiers are mutilated. Can you tell us about this pattern that, Pakistan and its sponsored terrorists, they engage in this pattern time and again?
If we were to talk of response, just today the Additional Director General of Border Security Force, Arun Kumar, spoke of 15 Pakistan Rangers being killed in India's retaliatory fire. That gives you an idea about the massive firepower that India has used along the international border in response to Pakistan violating ceasefire along the international border. We've also suffered casualties. We've lost 3 brave BSF personnel, but it's not a bean count that we've lost 3 and they've lost 15. the bigger picture is that this time India wants to send a very strong message to Pakistan that Pakistan-sponsored terror is unacceptable. Now, the pattern of beheadings, if I may use that word, or raids, usually what happens is Pakistan, it sends its border action teams to behead our soldiers if they find a patrol that's either lagging behind or one soldier who's caught off duty or caught off guard. We've had that incident in 2013 in January where Naik Hemraj was beheaded. We've had that incident once again in Punch where 6 of our soldiers were killed while they were out on a patrol by the Pakistan army. But both those instances were responded to. From what my sources have told me, for that one incident of the Rajputana Rifles Regiment soldier in the Punch Rajouri sector in 2013, Pakistan had lost 7 in response. When we lost 6, Pakistan had lost many more. So there is an appropriate response, but this time the impression that the government is giving is that punitive action will be taken against Pakistan to deter them. What does that punitive action mean? That remains to be seen, because so far the deterrence factor hasn't kicked in, but there are also other points to it at this stage, Archana, also because Pakistan's army chief General Raheel Sharif is about to retire and he's going out in disgrace. Then 60 Pakistani cadets have been killed in Quetta. Indian armies carried out a surgical strike along the line of control, so his strong image has taken a big beating. He's desperate somehow to regain that image, and that is why the LOC will only hot up in the days and weeks ahead.
All right, I'm joined by PK Mishra, former ADG BSF. Sir, what's your first reaction to this terrible news coming in from Machil sector?
Yes, Machil sector, in fact, I can well remember just before 2 months, there was an attack in Machil sector. They killed a BSF constable also in the same sector. And because of the heavy casualty which has taken place for Pak Rangers in Sukamal and opposite to international border in Jammu sector, particularly opposite to our RS Pura, Akhnur and Samba and Kathua, where 15 of them they were killed and a number of them were injured, and their penetration, they were trying to penetrate through Kandahar border and Jammu border. That was all foiled and they lost their weapons and few of the militants were killed. They were desperate to definitely take casualty of BSF and army, and Machil sector perhaps they took the advantage of the position, because this is a sector where a lot of camouflage and concealment is available. It's a hilly terrain. I was earlier posted in that area, and it's very, very difficult. It's a very difficult terrain. And I can well imagine that because of this heavy casualty which was given to them in Jammu sector, opposite to Jammu sector and towards Sialkot in Pakistan, the opposite side, perhaps General Sharif could not take it properly because he was going to retire in November itself. So he just wanted that definitely he will be taking the revenge and retaliate very badly. And we have to be very cautious. The way this is the 3rd time Pakistan behaved like this in mutilating the body and cutting the heads. So this is the 3rd time they have done. And perhaps, of course, our soldiers, they don't behave like this. We only kill, kill it by either MMG or by mortars and all. Of course, artillery fire not started from both the sides. But then things are very bad. The way Pakistan has done it, definitely the retaliation will be there. And we never expected that Pakistan will behave like this, but it is definitely General Raheel Sharif who is bent upon of doing like this. And because by end of November he wants to definitely take the revenge of our surgical strike and the lesson they have learnt opposite to Jammu border.
Right. So like you're saying that Pakistan clearly looks rattled, but do you think that the world community at large is watching this, the United Nations, the US, the China, everybody, because the aim of India right now is to isolate Pakistan, and do you think such acts, such heinous acts will isolate Pakistan, and is the world community going to do something about it?
Definitely, because you see the SARC, what has happened, most of the countries they withdrew from Pakistan, and in the NAM also they condemned Pakistan, and in the Goa BRICS summit also things went wrong for the Pakistan, and mostly even China kept quiet, though even though Masood Azhar is being held by China, he could not be declared to be a militant by China, by United Nations, but then trying to understand the position of Pakistan. And this particular situation, what has happened in Machil sector, we will bring it out to the international arena and will be putting pressure on Pakistan, definitely.
Okay. Thank you, sir. We are also joined by Major General Afsar Karim. Sir, your first reaction on this terrible incident coming from Machil sector where an army jawan has been martyred and mutilated by terrorists.
You see, that is the problem with Pakistani troops. Not now, but from the very beginning, from 65 operation onwards. They mutilate the bodies and they insult the dead. And that's a cowardly act which no soldier indulges in. But this is what Pakistan has become. It's a totally barbarous state. So obviously this will have reactions. And this is a cross-border action I think they have taken. And there will be reaction from India and also from the world community for such a thing.
Okay, sir. Okay. We still have Executive Editor Gaurav Sawant with us. Gaurav, you were saying that Pakistan clearly looks rattled right now. The army chief is set to retire in November and such acts only prove how desperate Pakistan is right now.
You know, Pakistan may be desperate, but as General Afsar Karim was pointing out that, Pakistan behaves in an ungentlemanly manner. My appreciation is, and from what my sources tell me, this is a game that two should play and play with the same rules. If Pakistan beheads our soldiers, we should burn them alive. Indian army has access to flamethrowers. They've used them in the past, and in fact, when used in combat, from what soldiers tell me, every time a Pakistani post is burnt, there is no response from that side, and that is exactly what India needs to do. Use your flamethrowers, burn them alive, and that is something that will teach Pakistanis a lesson, because you cannot play, one team can't play by the rules and the other team cannot not play by the rules. So that is something that India will need to decide. You want to play like a gentleman when the other party doesn't. There is one thing that needs to be very clear. Pakistan resorts to these tactics because India does not respond to them in certain ways. This time when India has decided that India will respond, perhaps it remains to be seen what India's response will be. That's point one. Point two, there's been an airspace violation by the Pakistan Air Force. Their unmanned aerial vehicle has crossed over illegally. There's been other violations. There have been two other violations by the Pakistan Army of ceasefire south of Pir Panjal. So clearly Pakistan is playing this game of brinkmanship. Remains to be seen who blinks first, who has a firmer resolve to hit back. Does India have the resolve to hit back, hit harder and hurt Pakistan more? That remains to be seen, and should India do that, we'll see Pakistan pulling back all along. As General Afsar Karim will tell us, all along the line of control, India is far superior to Pakistan when it comes to India's artillery, India's infantry and India's response.
All right. Thank you so much. That was Executive Editor Gaurav Sawant, and thanking also thanking correspondent Jugal Purohit. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us on this breaking news, terrible breaking news coming in from Machil sector, where an army jawan has been martyred and mutilated by terrorists. With that, it's a wrap on this bulletin. Stay tuned to India Today.